Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Stephanie. This is the week 5, January the 29th through February 4th's weekly wrap up. Okay, this week's wrap up is going to be kind of long. It's also kind of pairing with the watch and reads that I have done through last week, because that's what I did. So I have book mail. Let's get to that really quick, and then I will make sure that I timestamp all of like the breakdowns if I get a little long-winded when I start talking about the watch and reacts and reads and things like that. So make sure you're checking the description box, especially this week, because if you look at the timestamp and you're just like, oh my gosh, that's such a long video, check, or you look at the runtime, check down below. So let's get into the book mail. So I received 2 packages from Zahn, and I believe they're both things that I purchased, but I'm not exactly sure. So let's check it out. The first package, yep, it is Resilient Rain by Alethea Romig, which I talked about last week when I read it. This is the new cover for it. I think I purchased the new cover for book number 1. I think that's what the second package is, but I had to get a copy of this. This released this week or last week, and loved the new cliffhanger, and there were some extra twists in there that I didn't see. And if you're into royalty romance, this is definitely something that you need to check out. Royalty romance, twists, turns, lots of things. But this is the second book, so go get the first book first. Then the second package, is the new cover for the first book. So you have book number 1, which is Ruthless Rain, and then book number 2 is Resilient Rain. There we go. And actually that's going to come up wrong. So first book, second book for you guys. These are the new covers. The old cover looks like this right here. I kind of wish I had a second book with this kind of cover instead of these 2, but it is what it is. We have them. They're mine now. And they're Alethea Romig, so of course. Then I also saw some really cute sweatshirts on TikTok, and I had to get them. Let's see. I'm unboxing it for you guys first, instead of unboxing it on TikTok first, even though that's where I purchased them. I do like that I have a shipping label for what I have purchased. It's the God Ain't Petty, But I Am t-shirt line, and it did take a little bit for them to get here, but it is very clear that, the processing of the items take 10 to 14 days, I think it was. And then it said the shipping would be a little bit more. So it took about 3 weeks for these to get here, but I'm super excited to have them. I got a purple. Ooh, I like that they're soft. And they have lots of larger sizes because I like my shirts and things like that oversized. This isn't a sponsored video, and I like that. This is breaking news. I'm about to be petty. Yes, in purple. So I'm super excited about this one. That's a t-shirt that I got. And they're all individually wrapped in these amazing Ziploc bags, which can come in handy for later on after I decide to. Okay, I didn't realize I had gotten the t-shirt and the hoodie, But the hoodie also says breaking news, I'm about to be petty. And I got this one in gray. Ooh, I'm gonna have to try and keep my son's hands off of these because he's in a hoodie state these days. I do like that it definitely looks like it's been heat pressed. Although it looks like it's like inked into the sweatshirt. The material was nice and soft for the sweatshirt so far. And then I also got a black hoodie that says 100% petty. Yes, I'm here for this. Here for this. In my big old age, this is like going to be a walking billboard. You're gonna know my feelings that at that moment. So there is that. So that is the book and like ish mail type stuff that I got. The only reason I got these from TikTok is because I'm on Book Talk and you know that's a thing. So I will leave that link for those if you think those are cute. They have different styles. They've been running some other promotions and things like that. Once you order for them, like I said, I would order again from them. And I'm excited about that. So let's get into the books that I did read last week. So I started the week off by finishing A Million to Bleu, which is book number 1 by Bleu Saffire. This is an interracial dark romance, giving it 4.5 stars, giving it 3.5 Steam fans. Had this as an ebook through KU, and this is a Black author. This is A Marriage of Convenience. Yes. There's mystery that goes along with it. There's a conspiracy that goes along with it. We have Sydney, who is the money woman for a wait. Yeah. Okay. So Sydney is like this badass financier in this like huge company. But she all of a sudden is thrown into this like possible conspiracy theory and is kind of put the blame is on her, and she has been being watched by Clayton, who is this billionaire bad boy, but he's also like has a family that is very well connected. His father is trying to like move some pieces around. He is like pressuring him, Clayton and his brothers to get married. Well, when Sydney, he's expecting Sydney to like come to him and be like, oh, I need your help. Oh, damsel in distress. Oh. But Sydney has been under investigation for a year and she hasn't had the need to go to Clayton. So he had to like kind of nudge her into his world. And then, things start to happen and they make a love connection, and I was here for it. I loved every single moment of it. There's also some extra characters that I know for a fact we get the second brother's story in the next book, but there's a third that I'm like, Bleu, are we gonna get that story? Is that book coming? Because in all of her like on her website and on her notes and things like that, it doesn't say that we're getting a third book, but I'm like, I'm gonna need a third book, ma'am. I need to know more about this other brother that you've hinted at. But loved it. Super excited to get to the second book. The next book that I tried to finish was Lady Chatterley's Lover by D.H. Lawrence. This is a classic. I picked this up because of the watch and react. So if you're not interested in hearing both thoughts, which the book is going to be really, really simple, but I have thoughts about the movie, make sure you check the description box so you can jump ahead or jump around. So I DNF this book at 3%. Yes, you heard me correctly. 3% fucking. The audiobook narrator, no matter how fast or how slow I like had this book going, put me to sleep. 3%. That is 24 minutes at 2.5 speed. Super boring, super not interesting. We have this woman that marries, it's set in like the 1920s, I think. No, I think this one's set further back than that, because there's lords and ladies and it's over in them white countries. And it was just boring. It really put me to sleep. It's a male author and classics and audiobook and just boring. So I was like, okay. The book was boring. It was a classic. There could be some correlation, right? So I went ahead and tried to watch the movie that was put out in Netflix in 2022. And it had me for a minute because, it was this woman that she was the youngest, and she's like, oh, I'm gonna marry him. I loved him oh so much, but then he goes off to war the very next day after they're married, and then he comes back and he's injured. Well, he's injured to the point where he has to use a wheelchair. And she's like disappointed, the wife, Mrs. Chatterley. She's disappointed because she's like, yeah, you're in a wheelchair, but you know what still works? But you're not giving it up. And you're using me like I am a servant and I'm supposed to be taking care of you, but you're not, we're not seeing eye to eye. We're not communicating, things like that. Then the husband, Lord Chatterley, suggests that maybe it'll lift the spirits of our lordship, our people, our community, if a little one came into the mix. But you're not touching me. So what are you suggesting? Yeah, you're suggesting I go have an affair, get pregnant, and then pretend that this baby is yours. Well, in walks the game hunter for the estate, and he's in his own situationship. But the movie was just so much pale, rail, thin, white skinniness that I was just like, I don't need to see ribs and full frontals and of these pale people. I don't need to see it. It's not interesting. Nah, we fucking in the woods, we fucking in the forest, we fucking in the rain, in the dirt, in the wheat fields. We just fucking all over the place. And Miss Chatterley, Lady Chatterley, equates her getting some sex to love. And yeah. In the end, I wish I had my 2 hours back, my 2 hours and 24 minutes of never picking this book up. Like ever. It was a thing. Yeah. On to it. Next book that I finished reading was All I've Wanted, All I've Needed. Sunshine and Ace #1 by A.E. Valdez. This is I would say new adult coming of age contemporary romance. Black Love, giving it 4.25 stars, giving it 3 Steam fans. Had this as an ebook through KU. This is a Black author. This is Black Love, like I said. The content warnings include drug use, casual drug use, grief, other man, other woman problems, which I was like, can we not? I just don't like that trope whatsoever. And it really kind of annoys me in romance, but it is what it is. It was there. Loneliness, depression, alcoholism, and caretaking. So we have Harlow, who has been living with her dad and ends up taking a yoga retreat trip, what have you, to Bali. And in that, she meets these people that invite her up to Seattle, where her uncle lives. And she is on the fence of, do I, don't I, start living my life, things like that. She just broke up with her boyfriend, who all of a sudden, and best friend, all of a sudden proposes to her and kind of gives her grief about, oh, we're supposed to be best friends and this and that. And she's like, so, the next thing we should do is get married. I'm about to be a big star and it's all about me, 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 me. So she ends up going on the Bali trip, doing the retreat for yoga, then moving to Seattle, away from her family, away from her dad, who is still actively grieving for her mother and his passed away wife, things like that. But most of this story is about Harlow's like coming of age, her finding her way in Seattle, her, working at the yoga retreat or yoga studio that she ends up being with, finding, what she really loves and not what she's expected to do and things like that. The whole time her ex is constantly like texting her and all up in her business and things like that. Well, then she ends up meeting Ace, Asin, who is this tattoo artist, but also a tattoo shop owner, who is the brother of the young girl that, or the other one of the other characters. And they start making this connection over this like kind of like butting heads sort of situation going on. And it annoyed me throughout most of the book, even since we don't get any like smexy time until like 80%. And I was just like, oh my God, this is like a YA freaking no nothing freaking story. But then we started having sex, and then at that mark when we started having sex, it was like a sex fest. It was like, oh, we can't get enough. That's all we're gonna do is have sex. And it was like, did you flip a switch? Did we flip a switch and that's why we're at this moment? But then in the end, when Harlow finally stands up for herself and Asen finally figures out that, this is going to be good for her or good for him, as well as good for her, and they finally communicate. It was like, okay. I'm not exactly sure if I want to read a second book. I'm like, why was a second book written? But we will see. The next book that I finished was a cookbook called Winner Winner Chicken Dinner. Or Winner Chicken Dinner. Yes. This is by Stacie Billis. And it's a cookbook, like I said in last or a couple weeks ago, that my cookbook reviews are going to be a little different. It's mostly about would I buy them, things like that. And this one right here, I'm giving 4.25 stars, and there are 50 different winning ways to cook chicken. And yes, I believe I put this on my wish list to possibly buy, because the things that it has in here are freaking amazing. Like the differences between, where is it? It gives you tips on how to handle chicken. Like the safe handling of chicken down here. And where is it? It gives you a step-by-step account of how to cut a chicken up. Raw, as well as how to cook or how to cut a roasted chicken. I'm here for this. Here for this. On top of that, there are some amazing pictures, ways to brine. Oh my goodness. Highlight. And then some really, really interesting, yummy looking recipes to make and things like that. I'm mostly looking forward to trying some of the roasted chicken ones. Like roasting a whole chicken. Because I've never done it. Not the jalapeno one. Where is it? Oh, that looks so good. Can't wait. Cannot wait. I can't wait to try it. So yeah, I'm super excited about this cookbook right here. Then I also got delicious Walt Disney World recipes, stories from the most magical place on earth, by Pam Brandon, Marcy Kierkegaard Smothers, and the Disney Chefs. Y'all, this book, it's a thickums. It's a thickums. And it is going to be worth every single penny that I spend on this. If you are a diehard Disney person, you are going to want this, because it doesn't just give you the recipes, it gives you a history of Disney and where, why, how they decided to make their different recipes, and they give you like cool history facts about Disney. Oh, I am here for this. I am so here for this. I'm like, oh, this is absolutely amazing. I cannot wait to get a copy of this. Because yes. And like I said, look at that. Just so much. So much. How many pages is it? It's 300 something pages. Let's see. Yeah, almost 300 pages. But pictures of just beautiful Disney stuff, and yes. And the final cookbook that I give that one 4.5, by the way, and I will be buying it. Then the final cookbook that I read last week was the Obesity Code Cookbook. It's recipes to help you manage your insulin, lose weight, and improve your health, by Dr. Jason Fung. I wasn't a fan of this. It's kind of thick, but there are not as many tasty looking recipes, I guess you could say. There's pictures and things like that, but a lot of the recipes don't have pictures, and it's very much a textbook, and I am not here for that. So like, even though the name may sound good, I need a picture to visually stimulate my brain into saying, yes, I want to keep that. So yeah, giving it 2.5 stars. Alrighty, then I got back into reading books, and I finished reading Northern Star, which is Compass number 4 by Brittainy Cherry. This is a young adult to new adult story about second chance romance, and giving it 4.25 stars, giving it 2.5 Steam fans had this as an audiobook. This is a Black author. There are content warnings for bullying, for body image issues and mental health, for eating disorders, for a laundry list of things. I put them into my Goodreads review, so go check those out. But we have Haley, who is best friends with Aiden. They have been best friends since they were like 6 years old. They live next door to each other. It is definitely that boy girl next door to each other thing. They are best friends, and then when they start to have those feelings of puberty, of finally seeing each other, they start dating. And Aiden becomes this child star, and his father is really kind of pushing him to be a child star, kind of live vicariously through him. Aiden is also adopted, so we have that dynamic going on there. This is also an interracial romance, but the secrets and things like that were just super over the top. And, you know, it really is a YA to new adult sort of story. And when Aiden ends up leaving to California, Haley breaks his heart. And I was just like, ha, if y'all would have just talked. And I don't know that I completely forgave Aiden for his assholery when he was an adult or semi-adult type thing when he comes back to town after he becomes a movie star. I don't know that I believe um his apology for being such an asshole. When all they had to really do is really talk. And but then some of the other family secrets that were revealed were like, ooh, wow, yeah, you're kind of bitter at the wrong people, guys. Wrong people you're bitter at. There was a difference between the audiobook and the actual book. The ebook that I was reading, a couple of the chapters are out of order. There's a couple chapters in the ebook that happen later in the ebook than they do in the audiobook. So I found that a little bit distracting. I was like, excuse me, what? What? Why am I jumping ahead like 3 chapters in this ebook when this is the chapter we're on through the audiobook? Yes, it makes it flow a little bit better, but at the same time, it was like, we couldn't have matched these up. We couldn't have matched these up in the editing process or when we're uploading. That's weird. It was weird. So there is that. The next book that I finished was Staying the Course, which is Men of Endurance collection book number 1 by Siera London, placing this in contemporary interracial romance, giving it 4.25 stars, giving it 2.5 Steam fans. Had this as an ebook through KU. This is a collection, but it's broken down into the books. We are met in this small town of endurance. Olivia Gaines also writes in this. So there are characters and people that are mentioned that Olivia Gaines writes about, whereas Siera London writes about her characters. So we have in this book, Ivy and Owen. There are content warnings for, of course, small town. Our heroine is on the run, and domestic violence survivors, guilt, death, and insta-love. So we have Ivy, who is on the run from a bad situation, and she runs to endurance. She ends up in endurance, and she finds herself in this sort of relationship or in this situationship with Owen, who is this bar owner that she ends up stopping at when it's about to close. He ends up helping her, and the two of them find that they're attracted to each other. There is a child involved, and he's just the cutest little thing. The child is still dealing with some of the things that come from losing a parent. And I really enjoyed it, even though it was short and it was sort of insta-lovey. I still felt like I wanted to know more. The next book that I finished was Tattered, which is Lark Cove number 1 by Devney Perry. This is a romantic suspense in a way. Giving it 4.25 stars, giving it 3 Steam fans, and had it as an audiobook. This is a one-night stand, secret baby, small town, billionaire romance. We have Thea and we have Logan. They meet when Logan is in town for a moment, and they have a one-night stand. He ends up leaving, but Thea is always on his mind. He never really got her last name, so he couldn't like look her up, things like that. Thea never got Logan's last name, so she couldn't look him up to let him know that she had a kid. But they really live in two different worlds. This story really revolves around classism and rich and poor stigmas, things like that. Thea was an orphan that lived in New York. She moved away from New York after she found out she was pregnant with Logan's child. That's where they ended up meeting, by the way. They met and had their one night stand in New York. Sorry, kind of jumped over that. But then Thea moved to Montana. I believe Lark Cove is, that's where Lark Cove is. It was Lark Cove in Montana. They moved to Lark Cove, and there is that. I did enjoy this. I didn't enjoy the fact that Logan wasn't seeing that Thea was uncomfortable when they end up taking a visit to New York. And they really just kind of needed to talk. Their daughter in this was at times she felt a little free range, I guess you could say, with some of the things that she was very much not willing to listen to, I guess, her parents or adults and things like that. So it was like, she's a little annoying. But in the end, I did enjoy the story. I'm looking forward to the rest of the series to find out what else is happening in Lark Cove. There was a sprinkling of a stalker, which didn't feel completely connected, kind of just thrown in there to add the romantic suspense section of it. Woo! But yeah, there's that. The next book that I finished was Passing by Nella Larsen. This is going to be another read, watch, react sort of situation. So if you're not interested in this, or if you wanted to jump around, it's down in the description box for the timestamps. But this is a Black fiction story, giving it 3.5 stars, giving it 0 Steam fans. Had it as an ebook, listened to it as an audiobook, watched the movie on Netflix. This is a Black author. This book heavily deals with racism, classism, has uses of the racial slurs in it, especially in the book. And I will talk about the differences between that, the book and the movie in just a second. But this is set up in 1920s Harlem, where you're very much steeped in listening to Claire and Irene's story about passing. And if you don't know what passing is, it is when light-skinned Black people have the lack of pigment enough to be able to pretend and live in white spaces without having the ramifications of having melanin, pretty much. It really examines and opens discussion for the one drop rule. So we have Claire, who is passing in her life. She has a white husband who very much uses racial slurs and has a very disgusting nickname for her and has very white supremacist thoughts and beliefs. Then we have Irene, who could pass if she wanted to, and in some situations she has passed, which is where our two characters re-meet again, because they were friends and now they're not friends as adults and, you know, have moved on about their business. It's a super hot, steamy day in New York, and Irene is out looking for a gift for her son when she takes, I guess, tea at a pretty much white-only restaurant, and she happens to see Claire. The two of them talk, and I guess you could possibly say they rekindle their friendship. However, Irene is very much standoffish on in this possibility. And Claire is like, no, you're going to be my friend. I've found you again, and I need to be your friend again, because I've been passing for all this time, and now I need to, I want to be back with the Black people. But this is their story, and the narration for this book is only done by a single narrator, so it was very confusing to know whose head you were actually in. Were you in Claire's head? Were you in Irene's head for some of the thoughts? And it kind of got a little jumbled and confusing. But with the movie, you are very much knowing what Claire is thinking and what Irene is thinking, why they're doing the things that they are doing. And the end of the book leaves you with like one of two things. Did one person push another person, or did one person jump? In the movie, it is very much sort of a 4-point sort of thought process or discussion. Did one person push another person? Did one person jump? Was it a mistake that one person, falls, or were they trying to move out of the way? Or there's so many questions and so many good discussions that could be had throughout reading this and discussing this book. So it definitely gives you a perspective and an interesting thought pattern, because this was written back in the 1930s, I think it was, and it's a very introspect and quick thought look at some of the hardships for Black people during that time. So there's that. And I really, like I said, enjoyed the movie, I can't say loved because it's a hard movie to like watch and think about and things like that, but it's a good discussion piece. Yes. And the final book that I finished reading last week was Damned If You Don't, which is Baralachi family book number 2 by Lovelyn Bleu. This is a dark mafia romance, giving it 4.5 stars, giving it 4 Steam fans. Had this as an ebook, read it through KU. This is a Black author. There are content warnings for kidnapping, abduction, non-com, dubcon, past child abuse, discussion, violence, murder, lots of things, parents, bad parents, horrible parents, selling, sex trafficking, and things of that nature. So we have Livia, because it should be an O, but it's not. It's Livia. And she is the sister to our main female character from the first book in this series. And we get to see how she is down and out and the things that she has to now overcome. Then we have Devlin, who is the Baralachi enforcer. You get to see him in the first book, but this is like you really get to see him and the things that he has done, things that he is doing. And Devlin needs to protect Livia. And the way that protection comes is wild. It is wild. If you can't get behind some of the content warnings, or if you tread lightly, because it starts right off the bat. And it's well explained why some of the things are the way that they are. And it definitely, some of it has to do with the kinks that different people enjoy. So there is that. Tread lightly. I enjoyed it. I look forward to book number 3 and book number 4 for this family. and you don't necessarily need to read them in order, but it is better to read them in order so you can get a accurate history of the things that have happened. So what am I currently reading? I am currently reading First Comes Like by Alisha Rye, The Many Dates of Indigo by Amber D. Samuels, as well as one of these books from this carousel for the February Kindle Unlimited thing. Yep. Alrighty. So that was last week's, this week's. This is a super long video, so I'll make this quick as the outro. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Also, there is a feedback form down in the description box so you guys can help me improve my channel. My author interview form, author suggestion form, let me introduce you playlist is down in the description box as well. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in another video.